Hello there, I'm Leo Waldock, this is Kit Guru TV, and this PC we have on review today is the Falcon Elite GT1 Assassin SE. That's the Falcon Computers build, and it's a GT1 case from Inwin, the Assassin SE, that's Assassin Special Edition. We're talking a gaming PC, it's built around the latest hardware. Looking at the spec, we've got an Intel Core i5 4690K Devil's Canyon processor, so quad-core 3.5 GHz. Quite an impressive motherboard, a previous winner of a Kit Guru award. That's the Gigabyte Z97X SoC and an Asus GTX 970 graphics card. So we're talking high-end gaming components, plus a few other bits and pieces, power supply, SSD, storage drive, and so on. I'll show you inside in a moment. This is a tower-only purchase. Obviously, you can buy all the mouse, keyboard, screen, and so on from Falcon if you choose, or of course, you've already got them and you're doing a gaming upgrade. This is 99 VAT, and as I'll show you, that's actually pretty cheap. Now Falcon, they've had a bit of back and forward with NVIDIA about gaming bundles. For a while now, you've been able to buy new gaming PCs with an NVIDIA graphics card that comes with a free game, and this, hot off the presses, you can get a game code for one game choice out of 3. Choose from The Crew, Assassin's Creed Unity, or Far Cry 4. So depending on what money you're looking at spending on a game, 40 odd quid's worth, that's worth having. So there we go. So essentially it's £960, assuming you're looking at one of those 3 games. Right, let's take a look inside the case and show you a close-up of the details. Now, broadly speaking, the Falcon GT1 boils down to a bunch of components that they've put together. The most striking and imposing part of the build, as you'd expect, is the Inwin GT1 case. Black with some red highlights, loads of ventilation, this SATA dock in the top so you can plug an internal drive in and use it as an external drive, which is quite a neat little trick. Illuminated fans behind these grills, although I noticed they don't actually show up too well on video, but believe you me, they're there. And then we turn to the main compartment. And this is where you get the meat and potatoes of it. Most of the money has been spent on the Gigabyte Z97X SoC motherboard. That's £170 worth of Kit Guru award-winning motherboard. It's an absolute stonker. I noticed, by the way, that they supplied it with BIOS F3 installed. The current BIOS is F6. I can only assume that Falcon doesn't really worry too much about the updates that have been produced in BIOSes 4, 5 and 6, and thereafter stability and reliability, in which case fair play to them, I say. The Core i5 4690K Devil's Canyon processor runs at 3.5 GHz, turbos to 3.9 GHz, that's £168 worth, so the same as the motherboard. Now that's supplied at stock clocks. You can pay Falcon another £30 and they'll factory overclock it. They'll give you another 10% guaranteed performance, which I assume means it turbos to around 4.4, so gigahertz. Realistically, if you're watching this video, you probably know your onions. You can probably bump up the turbo setting in the BIOS yourself. Or you might think, I can't be bothered for £30. I'll let the factory do it. It's all covered by warranty. We're happy. The other components, you've got 8 gigabytes. Turn it of shiny red Kingston HyperX Fury memory, runs at 1600 megahertz. That's not especially fast in this day and age. However, most Intel processors, they need enough megahertz just to avoid bottlenecks. Once you get beyond 1600, you're into diminishing returns and more money. So 1600 is a very sensible choice. HyperX, good brand. The Asus GTX 970, £306 a graphics card, far and away the most expensive item in the build. And if you notice, you'll see only a single power connector. The latest NVIDIA graphics technology uses very little power. Really, it's absolutely deeply impressive. Moving down the list, the Cooler Master Sidon 120V liquid cooler, only £35, very cheap. Going around to the back of the case, give you a good clear look at the drives. There we have a 256GB Crucial SSD, model MX100, and down below in one of these caddies we've got a 1TB Seagate hard drive. Clearly they're using that almost as just generic storage. A terabyte is a load of games. It's not that much if you're into movies. On the other hand, you might want another drive. However, we do have stacks of bays. You can plonk a drive in there easy as winking. And I think it's telling that the power supply is this FSP Raider 550 watt. Retails £49. That's quite a small power supply for a gaming PC. On the other hand, the processor uses less than 90 watts. The graphics card is a single power connector. We are talking low power this day and age. 550 watts is actually way more than this PC uses. You could possibly, I'm not absolutely sure, get away with installing a second graphics card in SLI and still not require a power supply upgrade. Very, very impressive what NVIDIA has done with its power consumption, and Intel too for that matter. And then we've got 64-bit Windows 8.1, which I reckon is 70 odd pounds. So the total I come to, and I add all these components together, not worrying about delivery charges and including VAT, I get £1,057. Add on that free game, you're up to more or less £1,100 worth, and £999 is the retail price for this built PC, including a warranty and including delivery. So it's pretty good going, isn't it? Anyway, this is how the PC looks. It's neat and tidy, carefully assembled, sensible list of features, and I like what I'm seeing here. Okay, so this is the Falcon GT1 running. You can probably see the red LEDs on the top and on the front. They're not especially prominent or bright, they are there however. The kids in this house happen to love them. I can take or leave illuminated fans. This is okay by me. And the red and the black contrast nicely. Anyway, so this PC is running, and as you can hear, it's fairly quiet. There's certainly some noise. We've got a liquid cooler, we've got a bunch of fans. But considering the sides are open, if you listen, we aren't talking massively loud. However, this is with the case in silent mode. If I flick the switch here to go to turbo, and you can hear everything bump right up. So you haven't got to mess around inside the gigabyte BIOS, worrying about hardware monitoring and PC health and such like, setting fan profiles. You can simply have it quiet, and then for a gaming session hit the switch and off you go. Nice and easy. And as it happens, as you probably noticed there, the lights on the fans vary in intensity, so you can tell actually visually, or your ears will give the game away. When it's in silent mode, they're quite dim, and then you boot it up and they get brighter. When it comes to build quality, Falcon's done a proper job here. They've done nothing particularly special. They basically put the components in, done it neatly, cable tied home the cables, and stopped right there. So for instance, if we look at the graphics connector, power connector, there's no cable tie securing it, you don't need one. On the other hand, when you go down the bottom here to the various USB 3 and front panel connectors, cable tie holds it together. It's all very sensible. When the PC arrived, it had a bunch of packing inside the PC, those great big huge bubble wrap kind of gizmos, like little pillows, along with a sticker saying make sure you open the case and remove them, otherwise you'll cook your PC. So it arrived absolutely immaculately packed, pulled out the packaging, fired it up, absolutely worked out the box, no problems at all. They've taken a sensible course of action, they haven't gone over the top, yet it's very neat. Look at that. You'd be happy with that if you did it yourself, wouldn't you? If we go to the back of the PC, you can see that they've heavily secured the power supply cabling, and down here, absolutely fine, all the SATAs and so on sitting in place. So what we really have here is the equivalent of a bare bones PC, in the sense that it's a fully built gaming PC, but you've got plenty of other options for, if you choose, for putting in a second graphics card, adding in more drives, using the bays and such like. It's a stack of components that's been very carefully chosen to provide excellent value for money, and also decent performance, as we'll come to in a moment. Obviously the review on Kit Guru will have graphs galore, so you can see for yourself. Now then, let's just pull that grommet back out, because I noticed, there we go, because this GT1 case supports external cooling, not that I've seen it in, I can't remember how long now. All-in-one internals are the way to go for everybody. If we just rattle through the various features, so you've got those grommets for external cooling, not they're relevant. You've got the exhaust fan for the liquid cooler on the rear. The only expansion card is the graphics card. All those slots are free. The integrated graphics connectors we can forget about. Then we've got 4 USB 2 there, 4 USB 3, Ethernet, and full surround sound audio, plus a legacy PC PS2 connector. On the front, we've got 2 USB 2, 1 USB 3 headset jacks, and in the top here we have a SATA connector if you wish to drop an external drive in. It's quite a neat thing. If you want to clone or copy either a laptop or a desktop drive, you can whop it in there, and it just makes life easier rather than opening the side up and finding loose cables. So overall, very happy there. And the reason I'm happy is because Falcon, and I mean this in the nicest possible sense, has done nothing clever. They've bought in some proper components, they've spent the money where it needs to be spent. I'm just going to reach for my paper again. So that's £170 on the motherboard, £168, so the same money on the processor, and £306 on the graphics card. So that's £640, 2/3 of the total on motherboard, processor, graphics card, and then they've added on a whole bunch of ancillaries to make it into a proper PC. So as I say, that Cooler Master liquid cooler, £35. God, that's cheap, and yet it does a proper job. If you don't need any more, why put any more in? Obviously you can overclock it yourself, or you can pay them £30 to do it for you, in which case you're going to get at least 400 more megahertz free of charge. So I like the way they've selected the components, and it's a very sensible approach they've taken. The fact that you basically get the PC built, delivered, and are given £50 is obviously, from the point of view of we home PC builders, an absolute bargain. So let's just go through, as I turn that so you can have a look inside again. If I turn to the performance, and it's exactly what you expect from a Core i5 that's running a GTX 970. So if we go for Fast Strike, you're talking 9,400 is the score. Whereas if you had a GTX 980, you'd be looking about 11,000. Fire Strike Extreme, just under 5,000 marks. If you've got GTX 980, you'd be looking at nearly 6,000. What really leaps out? Oh, here we go. Thief. Full HD, high presets, you're looking at an average of 82.7 frames per second, which is, let's face it, is as much as you want, isn't it? An older game like Dirt 3, single full HD screen, 170 FPS. Well, what can you say? I mean, that's just epic frame rates. And similarly, Tomb Raider, again, full HD, high preset, 187 FPS. If you're thinking of building yourself a new PC or performing a heavy upgrade on your existing gaming PC, and you're looking at a GTX 970 graphics card, a Core i5 processor, and a high-end Z97 motherboard, then there's almost no reason why you'd actually do this yourself. You're spending hundreds and hundreds of pounds on the components, or you can spend more or less the same money and have someone do it for you. And then you keep your existing PC, pass it on to other member of the family, use it as a spare, sell it off, whatever. This is an absolute bargain, as I've shown. It's basically £100, £50 cheaper than buying the components yourself, plus you get a decent game thrown in as a freebie. Overall, very impressed by it. There's almost no reason why you wouldn't go down this route. The components they've chosen, I can see why every single component that's in this build has been chosen. Some is because they wanted the brand and the quality. The money's been spent on motherboard, processor, and graphics card, and they're proper, Intel Gigabyte Azus. You don't get bigger than that. The rest of the bits and pieces, the Crucial SSD, Seagate hard drive, Kingston memory, those are good brands, and they've plugged it all together very neatly. The result speaks for itself. It's a good piece of work, very happy with it, and it's threatening to make home PC building a thing of the past. $999, buy yourself a nice Christmas present, give less money to the rest of the family, keep it for yourself. Here you go. Happy Christmas. This is Leo Waldock for Kit Guru TV.